Live from the heart of Kansas City, welcome to Buck and Bob Take on Chiefs Kingdom. This isn't just any podcast, it's a fan-powered extravaganza where we dish out opinions, breakdowns, and engage in lively banter straight from the pulse of Chiefs Kingdom.
I'm Buck, your spirited host and Chiefs devotee. When I'm not passionately shouting at the TV, I'm dissecting every play and call with the precision of a seasoned armchair quarterback.
And I'm Bob, the voice of unpopular opinions and a penchant for stirring the pot. Together, we bring you a dynamic mix of insider knowledge, unabridged enthusiasm, and the true fan's perspective.
Whether you bleed red and gold or you simply love the thrill of football, buckle up as we navigate the exhilarating world of the Kansas City Chiefs.
How about those Chiefs?
How about them?
So we're going to get better at the intros. We're still trying stuff out.
Yeah.
But we're getting there. We're working on it. We'll see how it goes. You guys let us know if that's a little too much, or if you'd like,
or if you want more.
Yeah, we want more, or
more cheese,
or whatever. But we're trying to build this podcast, and we need your help to let us know. But I was going to start the podcast off by just asking you what you've been up to.
I'm getting ready for this season. I've been watching a lot of video. Listening to a lot of takes on practices, and I've never been more excited for a season of football as I am for this year, man. 2 Super Bowls in a row. We've said it 100 times. I can't wait for a three-peat, but man, every day I'm just a little more optimistic. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm working a lot and watching a lot of coverage.
Nice,
how about yourself?
Nice. I've been watching a ton of coverage, watching all of the stuff going on at training camp, and just wishing I was there every day. But I don't know. I think the media does get to go there, but I don't think we've been going long enough to get a media pass. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've gotten them through all my gaming podcasts a bunch of times at different things, PAX, BlizzCon. Different e-sport events, but I had a portfolio to show them. I think I don't think we're big enough to
almost.
Yeah.
We're almost there.
Yeah. We've got, those podcasts, even though they were small time, get, 10, 20,000 downloads, and I'm figuring we're probably at I'll be happy if we hit 50, here this first few weeks.
Yep.
So we'll see. But so what I've been doing besides that is we talked about the 2024 Super Bowl rings on a podcast recently, and I actually got to hold one, wear one, take a picture with it. It's now it's I framed it, put it by my bed. And yeah, the ring is unbelievable. The package that it comes in was crazy. You open up this red box, and it had to be just gold plated, but the Chiefs emblem is on the top of it, and it looks like it's gold, but it's got to be just gold plated or something. But I didn't inspect it too well, but it looked amazing.
You didn't scratch it to see if anything came up.
It looked like real gold, but you open it up, and as soon as you open it, there is I'd say about the size of an oversized iPhone screen, like the big iPhones, like that big, that's just right there. And it starts playing highlights from the Super Bowl.
Oh, like a little TV monitor screen?
It's literally
part of the package.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it just starts playing all the stuff, and it's like a pretty long video, and it's really cool. And then the ring itself is to the side of that, and it's spinning
while the video's playing.
It's on it's on a stand that's up, and it's just slowly spinning. Like you would see on
so
a
cool. Wow.
If something was on display and it was just slowly spinning. It was great. I opened it up. It's got all the personalization and stuff and everything. And what's crazy is we talked about how many rings they gave away. I did not realize. So I saw this because I have a friend who just recently resigned from working for the Chiefs, but he worked for the Chiefs for years, guys, probably like 6 or 7 years. He's got 3 Super Bowl rings.
Wow.
And he was office staff. He was one of the guys that took care of the Chiefs outreach program, the one that does everything for the kids. I forget the name of it, but yeah, he has 3 of them, and I was blown away that they give it to so many people. I mean, it's just nuts.
Yeah, I had heard that they bought them for the office staff and to like even secretaries. You know, I mean, like the people that, you know, all the way down.
Administrative assistants.
Yeah. You know, I mean, at one point, I think I heard a rumor that some of the concession people too, and I mean, I doubt that. That's a lot of rings. But yeah, I knew it wasn't just the players and the coaches, but that's a lot of money when we were covering the ring and how much the NFL gives you. Compared to how much we know these rings were worth and how many people got them.
$40-some thousand a piece.
It's amazing how much the Chiefs had to foot on that bill.
Well, I kind of got myself in a little bit of trouble, and I hope my buddy still plans to guest on the podcast. He said he'd guest on the podcast, but I might have got him in a little bit of trouble because while he was putting the kids to bed upstairs, I was talking to his wife, and she was talking about the ring, and I was like, do you know how much those cost? And she's like, I don't know, like $5,000. And I was like, somewhere in the $40,000. And she goes, what? And she was like, well, he needs to sell that. And I was like, whoa. No. She doesn't understand football at all. She's the type of person, every sporting game we've ever taken her to, she like wants to leave at halftime. She just does not get sports. And she's like, he needs to sell that. And I was like, dude, you don't understand. This is something that he could pass down to your children, and you know, they could each get one. Like, this is something that's going to raise in value over time. And she's like, well, if it's got his name on it, what does that mean? I was like, it means it's worth significantly less. You know, a Tom Brady ring, you know, initially is worth, you know, I was looking it up while we were talking, and it was initially worth, like, I forget which ring it was, but it was initially worth $50,000. Now it's up to $250,000. And you know, so the name does matter, but it's still something that's going to garner a lot of, you know, a big price from any big collector. So selling it is crazy. And I hopefully talked her down before I left, because I just fear that she was like, all right, we're selling the 3 rings. And I was like, oh, sorry, Andrew. Oh my gosh. So yeah, hopefully that didn't happen. But let's get off personal stuff. Let's talk Chiefs. What you got for me?
Well, we've got the some updates on the injuries now that the practices are starting, and everybody's asking. Joe Tooney, we still haven't heard anything on him. Menahue, we're still waiting to hear on him. Worthy, that was a big one. He's had a couple of different things. He got sick with a touch of pneumonia, I believe, and so he was better, and he was at practice yesterday, so that was a good thing to see. Some of the plays that he was able to be a part of during the practice, that was awesome to see. So we've got Derek Nottie. He's still no update on him yet. We got Leah Chanel, Watson, BJ Thompson. So we still haven't heard anything on him. He's likely to start on the NFI, which is the non-football injury list. So we're still, you know, thoughts and prayers for that guy. Nazeeh Johnson, he was expected to take part in the initial practices, and guess what? He was there yesterday. So that's a great sign. And then we've got young tight end Garrett Prince, who was seen in a boot. So that's the latest on him. There was an update with the practice yesterday. Justin Watson left practice due to a knee.
Foot.
Or a foot. I'm sorry.
And
we watched the video
ooh.
over and over. Man, it was painful each time. Yeah, I was just like, all right, I'm done watching this. The 14 different angles. It was a nasty thing. For me, it was. I feel like cleats, they've done so much to helmets and player safety is for concussions and neck injuries and back injuries, which is fantastic. But I feel like cleats, there's something to it. It's catching their foot. I mean, his foot looked clearly like it was stuck in the grass, and that kind of made the weird fall. You can argue till you're blue in the face on that one. It's just a personal feeling I have that the cleats could be updated. I wouldn't have the first clue how, but I don't know. That's what I think is could be changed in the future to help with leg injuries, which, behind the head and neck, shoulder injuries, I think is the second biggest fear of most athletes that are out on the football field.
Yeah, it's non-contact injuries. Yeah, it's scary, and boy, that twist looked horrible, and then him just like wincing in pain immediately afterwards. It's hard to watch those types of things, and I don't know about the cleats. I honestly think that turf is one of the biggest things that's hurting, people. And they don't wear cleats on turf. They wear like turf shoes or something. But yeah, that is bad. But cleats also, but if you get rid of cleats, it also gets rid of a lot of those real quick cuts and everything.
I don't necessarily think getting rid of cleats is the answer. I think, as the helmet has evolved, I think cleats can evolve too. On the bottom of a shoe, the cleat goes all the way out to the edge. I think maybe if you have like a strip of cleat down the center of the foot, so when you're running and you're using your foot to do the cut, it'll still stick in the ground. But on falls like Justin Watson's, when it almost looked like the side of his foot was kind of stuck.
Completely stuck.
Yeah, and if there was no cleat on the side of the foot, it may have helped. I don't know. It's just a thought I had. It could be complete crap. But I feel like something should be done. There's just too many foot injuries and leg injuries to not at least look at it.
Well, I think about the evolution of golf shoes when you bring that up. And I remember when I was younger, we had our golf shoes literally had, about 10 spikes on the bottom. That's why at the golf course, you'd hear people walking around and do like clack,
clicky,
clack,
clacky,
clack, clack. And those were to keep your, feet on the ground. But now they've evolved into these plastic, like little things that just I don't know how to explain it, like a circular plastic grip thing that works just as good, but isn't as dangerous, isn't as awkward to walk in. And so I don't see why you couldn't evolve cleats a little more. They're working on, you're right, they're working on all these different helmet things, and that, I think that the reason they're so focused on the helmet stuff is because that injures the brain and it messes them up for the rest of their life. Sure. But, foot and leg injuries can end careers. So yeah, it's a good point. I never thought about just trying to upgrade that equipment. And if anybody out there knows if it has been being worked on and it's something we don't know about, please let us know. We'd love to learn more. We're gonna plan is a year or two of this podcast, and we're gonna be experts.
I'm pretty much already an expert, so
well, speak for yourself. Oh man.
I'm an expert in my own mind.
Uh, yeah, but that hurt to watch. I don't know. I'm not a huge Justin Watson supporter, and I think you are.
I am. He's never had the breakaway speed. He doesn't bust downfield. He is a big play guy, I guess, because he gets big chunks, but he has to fight for the ball because he doesn't have that separation. And I feel like when he's not successful, at least that ball is falling to the ground. And with the plays that they're choosing to throw to him, I don't want to say they're throwaway plays, but when they're trying to get a big chunk like that, they know they've got something in the backup for when it's not successful, because they're pretty sure it's definitely not getting turned over. He's going to fight. He's so tough. So yeah, I love Justin Watson. I've always enjoyed what he brought to the team, and when those plays are successful, you're standing up with your arms raised, cheering just like the rest of us. So I think there's other guys too that we're holding on to, that we could be focusing on more as far as getting rid of. I'm still 100% against Kadarius Toney. And I know he's going to make this team. I know he is, over Sky Moore. It's just a lot of the big brains out there are talking about that. I think that's going to be the cutoff line, is yes on Toney and no on Moore. And I hate that. I hate that choice, but what are we going to do?
Yeah, I know Travis Kelce disagrees with you.
Yes,
we could talk a little bit about Toney and what happened in practice. Kelce got a little fired up. It's pretty bad.
Absolutely love this. If anybody hasn't seen footage on this scuffle during practice, I just think there's so many positives. You see the passion. Everybody's passionate. I think the hit that Karlaftis made on Toney was okay. Here's my personal take on it.
Hold on. Why don't we explain to people at home that might not know what we're talking about before we. So basically, what happened is they were playing without pads. You're not supposed to really put big hits on anybody. Toney was coming out of the backfield because they have been working on him as a possible third down running back. We'll talk about that after we talk about the little scuffle. But he's coming out of the backfield. George Karlaftis comes out of nowhere and just Toney runs into him, but George Karlaftis put down the shoulder and really gave him a big hit. I mean, he's probably 80 pounds heavier than Toney, and Toney just flies back. Toney gets up and just chucks the football at George Karlaftis, and that was kind of the end of it for that. But then as Karlaftis is walking off the field, Kelce comes running over, and Kelce says something to him, headbutts him, pushes him. Karlaftis keeps walking. I'm sure Kelce was still saying stuff, and Karlaftis turns around and throws his hands up and is like, what? And yeah, so it was a little fiery. So okay, now give us your take now that the listeners know what we're talking about.
I think that Karlaftis was sending a message to specifically number 19 Kadarius Toney that you put us in some really tough spots last year. You specifically put us in a lot of tough spots last year. And here's our little, F you, buddy. This is it. Everybody sees it. It's during practice. Now it's over. He's got the message. Don't do it again. If you're not going to catch the ball, at least bat it down, that kind of thing. And I think that's what that was. And I think he did it at the training camp so that the media could see it. I think he wanted the fans to see it. But I mean, think about it. We both have brothers, right? We've both been in fights with our brothers. We both wanted to rip our brothers apart. But if anybody else messes with our brothers, it's on, right? I can mess with my brother, but nobody else is going to mess with my brother. And that's what this is going to do to the team during the regular season. And I love it. I love every part of it. Kelce showing that he's still the leader of this team. like stepping up. Oh man, I'm so psyched for this season.
So I definitely disagree with you that Kelsey wanted people to see that. I don't think it's something that Kelsey
could have helped.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah. I think he always seems to regret those types of interactions later. I know exactly how he feels. It's how I was when I was younger. I will tell you, the good thing is it tells me that Kelsey's testosterone levels are not going down in old age.
Well, not totally.
So,
but I don't think he's going to regret this one. I don't think this isn't one of those situations where he just went a little bit too far. I think he stood up. I think he did what he needed to. I don't think he went too far. I don't think he's going to regret this one at all. I think he wanted to show his guys, look, I'm still the man on this team. I know Patrick Mahomes is the man, but I mean, I'm still the guy that's going to stand up and for my guys. So I don't think he's going to regret this. But
well, we'll agree to disagree on that one. But I think that he tries to control. He was one of the biggest hotheads in the NFL in his early days. It used to drive me nuts because we would lose yards because of it.
Yep.
And he's really cleaned that up. So I think he's working on his behavior. And a lot of people really get bent out of shape about this type of stuff. They call it toxic toxic masculinity, and I think it's completely normal, and it's something that men do when and I don't watch a lot of female sports, but I'm sure it happens with them too. You get fired up, you're into something, someone does something a little cruddy, and you're unable to center your emotions at that point, and you go off. It's something that everybody can probably relate to at one time or another.
Well, I think if this happens on a team that's failing right now, then it's considered toxic masculinity, and it's a cancer in the locker room, right? But when you're talking about the top of the NFL right now, the team, then this is a fiery background. You can spin it any way you want. But at the end of the day, I really do think that this is a positive for this team. In the long run, it's a positive for the team. Nobody got hurt, right? So it's just emotions. That's all this is, emotions and a little bit of bad memories. But I think it's a positive for the team.
Do we want to take bets on how many times Travis Kelce will throw a punch this training camp? Because it was 2 last year. Where he punched someone two different times in the helmet, but I mean, it's still a punch.
I think it'll be under 2.
I think it'll be because
I do.
This time he just pushed, headbutted and pushed, and they're wearing the little patty helmets, the super helmets that make them look like,
Darth helmet
from
Spaceballs.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or
it looks so awkward.
Or a Funko Pop. Is that what those little guys are called?
The big head guys. Yeah.
Yeah. It's hilarious. Or like Charlie Brown kids, with the big heads.
Yeah. Why are they only doing that during practice? If it's safer for their head and it doesn't cause extra strain, why aren't they just doing it in games?
Because it looks stupid.
Who cares what it looks like? It's about player safety. I think the helmets look stupid. Honestly.
I think helmets look so cool.
I'd much rather. I think
it's like wearing armor.
When I see, I like the idea behind rugby with zero padding, right? So if you hit somebody with your head, you are putting yourself in danger, and that's always taken into consideration. Right. And so I think sometimes these guys with the pads, they use that as a weapon because they know they have that padding and they almost go harder because of it. So,
and it's the helmet can be a weapon. That's why they've made all the rules about helmet to helmet and everything.
Sure. So who cares about the look? I mean, I know the players do, but the players aren't making the choice here.
Football, I vehemently disagree with you. I feel football would be so much more boring if you had no pads. I think it would be. What we love is the big hits. I mean, I miss the huge quarterback sacks, but I appreciate the rule change.
I do too.
Because it just makes,
the game better.
Yeah, quarterbacks are just too valuable to let that happen to. But I sure do miss seeing Favre get laid out.
Yeah,
by oh gosh, what's his name? The guy with the gap in his tooth, Strahan.
Oh, Strahan, yeah.
Dude, Strahan would lay him out all the time, and I loved it. But I don't like them getting hurt, and it's just better for the game overall. So but I think football without pads. I mean, I'm watching it right now, and it's just not very funny.
I would never argue that would be a better game. I just think. I mean, think of the limitations that the pads bring to the game right now. It's hard for the receiver to turn back and track the ball. It's harder with the helmet than it would be without. So the game, as far as the plays that we see, could get better with no pads, but I would never argue that that's safer. My point is the game, if you're only interested in the stats and the wow factor, then without pads would be a better game. But if we're going to add pads for safety, then why wouldn't we just add those stupid looking helmet additions? The play wouldn't get worse. It would just be less injuries. I just think it's a contradictory thing. Like we're going to do helmets because those are safe, but not the helmet things because, well, that's just silly. You know what I mean?
I'm sorry. I think looks matter. I think
you'd stop watching because they wear those silly helmet things.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I don't think anybody would.
But it would make it more comical. And yeah, I don't think so. I don't know.
Well, maybe the listeners can tell us what they think in the comments section. But if it's a safety issue, I think it's a no-brainer. But who am I?
I mean, I also think it's just neat. I think speaking of pads, let's just move on and talk about Reese Zammit.
Mm-hmm.
So former rugby player. What I love about pads is you never know how different somebody's going to look when the pads come on, mm-hmm. and we're going to get to see him in pads soon, and it's going to be interesting to see if he looks good. I hear he runs a little weird. He runs more straight up, where he needs to learn to lower his shoulders more and keep a little bit like lower to the ground. He runs, rugby players, from what little I've seen, seem to run straight up.
Up more like this. Yeah.
Yeah. So it'll be
kinda
interesting
like
to see.
Did.
Yeah.
Mm.
It'll be interesting to see how he fares. But it was kind of a joke early on, but man, it's actually looking like he might have a chance to make the team.
See, I'm always the guy when I hear about this kind of talent and moving sports like that, I'm always rooting for that guy, right? I'm always rooting for the guy from the other sport to come over and just kick ass because they've got this one certain ability. Well, this guy's like a brick wall and he's got super, super speed. So yeah, I've been rooting for him since day one, and all the experts, he doesn't have the best chance. Maybe he can make the practice squad, maybe next year type thing. But yeah, as time goes on, it's looking more like a possibility we might see him in the regular season in pads. And man, I'm super excited. He's a big dude. He's a brick wall. And you add pads to him, and as we've been talking about,
interestingly built, because he's built like if you had a tank position in soccer, he'd be the tank. His legs and his. We've talked about butts on the show before too. Everybody talks about the butts, the glutes. Like he's got the butt and he's got those big old legs, and then he's got like a really small upper body. And so he's built very interesting. And I worry a little bit about injuries too with him because, but it seems like, other people getting injured, without the pads on. I don't know, man. He seems pretty solid.
And he's serious about it. I mean, he was quoted as saying that the first goal is to make the team. He's used to being the superstar in his sport. From what I understand, he's one of the guys in rugby, and he wants to make the leap to the NFL. He knows that that the work is in front of him, and he's willing to put in that work. So,
well, and I found out I watched an interview with him the other day, and it looked like, I guess he's dreamed about being in the NFL his entire life. Like, so he knows the game. He just didn't have opportunities to play
right
over there, like real opportunities to play. But I guess it's been a dream of his, and that's pretty neat. So it'd be a neat story. And
mm-hmm.
yeah, I think they would slot him as like running back probably, but the running back, the running back room is getting weird now, because we had Deneric Prince taking second snaps behind, oh my gosh, why do I blank on names? Behind our main Pacheco. He was taking second snaps behind Pacheco, and Edwards-Helaire was taking third snaps. And I've never been a fan of Edwards-Helaire, so I could see if we actually got rid of the Helaire. But I mean, if Prince ends up working out, we end up keeping him, and we do keep Edwards-Helaire too. That's 3 running backs, and then on top, Tony has been taking snaps as a third down running back, Kadarius Toney.
Well, if you don't trust him to catch the ball, but you like him with the ball in his hands, why not at least just hand it to him, and hopefully he doesn't fumble?
Yeah, I just don't know. A third down running back has to be able to block well, and I don't know that I've seen much downfield blocking from Tony, but I have seen it. I have seen him do it in plays before, so I don't know. I just don't know. He's always injured, so it scares me for him trying to block people.
Yeah,
that's the biggest problem. Is he just seems to always get hurt.
Yeah, and he causes interceptions too. I'm done with Kadarius Toney. So the longer he's on this team, the more I'm just going to want to avoid talking about him. There's just so many other options. I think Sky Moore is there's less negative with Sky Moore. Yeah, there's less. I think that the ceiling is definitely lower with Sky Moore, but that floor, it just scares me. It just scares me. He changed the outcome of games last year. Games, plural. So I
just don't know why Kelsey is so.
He really is
so supportive of him. I don't know if they're friends or something, or it's just.
And that's genuine too. When you listen to him talk, it's genuine feeling. He's not bullshitting.
Yeah, he really likes him.
He doesn't have to back him up, even if he wants to support him, but not really back him up because he knows he's not the best on the team. He can just not say anything. He's not a negative, but he doesn't have to say anything. But to stand up and say that's my boy, then
and he says that. He's an amazing playmaker and everything with the ball in his hands and all this stuff. And I'm just like, I feel like Kelsey knows something that I don't know. And I don't know. I mean,
I hate it.
When we got him that half year, he had some, he was hurt a lot, but he had some really incredible plays, especially in the 23 Super Bowl. And it was just, I don't know, man. I feel like we've got a lot of other talent in there now, and I don't even know. Yeah, I don't want Sky Moore though. I'm not. I don't. I'm over Sky Moore.
I would just rather Sky Moore over Tony. But honestly, if there's better options, I'm not. I'm definitely not sold on Sky Moore as the guy. Like I said, the downside with him is less than with Tony.
Yeah.
And I think we just saw all the worst possible outcomes with Tony last year.
Well, and I think they're maybe trying him at running back because they're thinking he's just not going to make the cut as a wide receiver. But I haven't seen any clips of him running through the tackles. And if he's a third down running back and you always know that he's going to go right or left, that's a big deal of just spread out the defense rather than, but then maybe he could run through the tackles. At that point, I don't know, man. His legs look so small to be a running back. I don't know, and he's a little. I don't know.
I honestly, with the fact that they're doing that makes me happy. Because it means that they're just trying to find some way to keep him on this team. So to me, that's a good sign. I don't think he'll make the team as a running back.
Yeah,
and it looks like the Chiefs don't think he's going to make it as a wide receiver. So I'm sorry. I hope you land on your feet someplace, Tony. I really do. The Raiders, that'd be great. Or the Broncos. I would seriously root for you on the Broncos or the Raiders.
Oh, man. Oh, my gosh. No, because if he went to one of them, then he would just turn into a superstar.
I know.
That would just no.
No, he wouldn't.
I don't know, man. Yeah,
I know that would be. It's bad juju to wish for that kind of thing. I get it.
Yeah,
I get it.
But
I won't argue with you.
Reese Zammit, I'm really hoping.
Yes, back to Reese Zammit.
I'm just excited about the new kickoff rules. I mean, it's gonna be crazy to see what people come up with, what the different coaches around the league come up with, and I think Andy's.
And we've talked about Justin Reed. I mean, he's definitely going to be doing kickoffs, but they haven't really talked about Reese Zammit doing kickoffs, but we know that option is there. He does that actively in rugby. So you got to know that kind of thing is at least bouncing around in the back of their head someplace.
Yeah. Well, and I think their issue with Reed is, he's been a little banged up, but not enough to be out of practice much, but he's been banged up, and we need him at safety, and we need him for a lot of plays at safety, and just to bring him in to run a whole bunch for kickoffs, and we score a lot. So, well,
yeah,
I'm hoping we're going to score a lot this year. I'm hoping we're going back to the days before, but the more we score, the more he's in there on
more kickoffs.
On kickoffs, and that's quite a bit of running and quite a bit of wear and tear on him. I think having him, and then if he's hurt, what the heck do you do at that point?
Yeah.
So I really think Reese Zammit has a possibility of being the starter at it, and then Reed is more of the
backup.
The backup.
I don't think so, but I'd love that scenario. It definitely wouldn't hurt my feelings. But I think I'd rather see Zammit on the field as a regular, almost like a hybrid wide receiver running back with a little bit of he's too small to be a tight end, but I think his upside to like little, I don't want to say trick plays, but niche plays designed for him with his speed and size. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. I don't want him to get stuck. I don't want him to make the team just to do the kickoff thing. But yeah, I mean, the more options that you have there, the better. I think the Chiefs are definitely in one of the best positions right now in the NFL for the new kickoff rules. Because at the end of the day, you've always got Butker that can kick it out of the stadium if he needs to, So having Reed and Zammit out there as two other options, I don't think there's a lot of teams that can rival that.
I mean, I don't think Butker has a chance of coming on for kickoffs. It's just you're one less tackler, and I just don't. Someone still has to return, whereas Reese Zammit could also return.
Mm-hmm.
And these are things with the new kickoff rules. It really is very similar to the setups you'll get in rugby, and so I think he's going to make it because of that, and I don't think
I just hope Reed that's not all that we get to see of him.
Oh well,
you know what I mean.
If he proves himself, I mean, sure, but we're looking pretty good, as far as I don't know. We have one good running back that I trust, so. We'll see. I guess I just want to see him running with the ball in full pads before I really have a full opinion on
love
if
affair
he's
with him.
going to make the team. But I know.
I tend
I'm
to
rooting for the guy, man.
I get overexcited real easy about some of these guys, so.
Well, what else do we have here? Because we're getting to almost time.
Well, Patrick Mahomes, as expected, they had the ESPN rankings come out. Patrick Mahomes made the number 1 spot in the quarterback rankings. Any surprise there?
No.
This will probably be the shortest little conversation ever on this show. Patrick Mahomes, number 1 quarterback, no surprise. And I think that's probably going to be for a couple more years, unless he just falls off a cliff. He also was named best male athlete. Also best NFL player at the ESPYs. He only had almost 4,200 yards and 27 touchdowns. This wasn't even a career year, It's the upside.
He's changing the game of football forever, and we're gonna see the changes that he's made coming in. Probably starting here in the next 5 years, we're gonna start seeing. Once Mahomes had so much success early on, and they found out he was a shortstop, and that's what he attributes his being able to throw off his back foot, every different weird throw.
With accuracy,
we have scouts that already were checking out high school talent, and that high school talent, is going to be getting done with college soon, and we're going to see, I think, a lot of quarterbacks that were groomed to be like Mahomes and be able to make those types of throws. And I think you're going to start seeing it all over the place, over the next decade. You're going to see it just everywhere, and it's going to be the way the game changes, because have to set your feet and everything is something that holds a lot of quarterbacks back, and it's what makes him amazing, and being able to be accurate with those throws. So I'm interested to see some of the prospects coming up. If anybody else knows of, anybody in college right now doing it, I'd love to hear about that, because I don't follow college a ton. And if you guys know of anybody, tell us. I'd love to check out some clips of them and some footage.
Yeah, at 28 years old, Mahomes has already got 15 postseason wins for his career, which puts him at 3rd all time behind Joe Montana, 16. So he's going to pass Joe real soon. But Tom Brady's sitting at 35. It's hard to not call him the GOAT when he's still more than double Mahomes' postseason wins.
Oh yeah, Mahomes is ahead, but he has a lot of learning in football ahead of him. I was so proud of him, this last year, because it's last couple of years, because he's had to change up the way he plays completely, because the NFL, that's what made Tom so great. Tom would change as the game changed.
Evolution, yeah.
And he had, different years he would have to do different stuff. And Mahomes, I was very scared about Mahomes' ability to do that. And then when I saw that over the last 2 years, I was just like, okay, well, if he's able to, change up and, and evolve like that, then he has a chance to do it. But he's going to have to stay healthy. He's going to have to stay humble. And
it's still a long road.
Yeah, he's still got years that he's going to need to do. And what's kind of unfortunate is, lots of his postseason years, he's gotten one less game than other teams, because we get the bye a lot of times.
Yep.
And so that leaves it a little sus too.
Less opportunity. Yep.
Yep.
So and then as probably as no surprise, Travis Kelce was also ranked as the best tight end in the NFL by ESPN. So I don't think that's going to be debated by too many people. Is he the greatest tight end to ever play? Has he surpassed Tony Gonzalez?
Oh, it's hard to say. It was a different game.
Yeah. But I think because he's changed the game, and Tony changed it. Absolutely changed the tight end position. But I think Travis Kelce's taken it to another level. And you got to judge them against their peers of the time, right? You got to judge Tony as he was against, all the other great tight ends of the time. Shannon Sharp comes to mind. But what Travis has done, Gronkowski, you can kind of argue, has had some success. I don't think Gronkowski is, admittedly, he doesn't really play the game. He just goes out there and runs, and he's so big and he can catch the ball that Tom Brady would just throw it to him, and it worked so often. But as far as being a football player with all of the skills, I don't think there's any comparison. I think Gronk is a second-rate tight end compared to Kelce.
Interesting.
I really do. Kittle? I think Kittle would be in the conversation as being one of the top tight ends right now, but overall career, I don't think he can touch Travis Kelce either. I really do. I think he's the greatest to ever play. And I think Tony Gonzalez, I'd love to hear his take on it, but he doesn't seem to be the kind of guy that would argue that. Do you know what I mean?
Tony was on the live podcast in Kansas City of the New Heights podcast, Travis and Jason Kelce's podcast, and Tony came out, and I got to see that live.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. We got tickets for we know people. We got last minute 2 tickets, and we could have sold them for $1,500, but we really wanted to see that podcast live.
I would have sold them.
But Tony was on there, and Tony definitely gives Kelce all the props, but he did not say that that Kelce was the GOAT, and he also said that he's not the GOAT.
Really? Did he mention who he thought it was?
I forget. But
probably one of the old school players, one of the, that really revolutionized, the tight end from being a blocker to a receiving.
I'm trying to remember who he said. I don't know. But yeah, I don't think.
I'm not surprised that it was a classy answer.
Yeah, I don't think
he's a classy guy.
If Kelce has another 3 years or 4 years of the same or close to production, like, he's going to be considered the greatest of all time. But I don't know that he wants to play that long. It's really looking like he might actually be, the end of Taylor Swift's career, because I think they're going to get married, and all of her albums are about her most recent breakup,
her boyfriends, her ex-boyfriends.
Yeah, so I don't know, but this might end her career there.
But start writing songs about the perfect husband.
Yeah. So we'll see. But I think he's straight up said he wants to go into broadcasting. So he might, if he gets offered a job, I think it could actually expedite him deciding to leave the NFL. And this is total speculation. I'm just guessing. He hasn't said anything. He said he's far from done. But if he does get married, maybe starts a family, he might want, more time, and broadcast is way less taxing.
I think he's a smart guy. And when you have what you have with Patrick Mahomes, I think you try and ride that wave as long as your body isn't given out. I thought what we were seeing last season was the beginning of that. But then after the postseason, he seemed invigorated. He looked 5 years younger. And so far in practice, he looks spry. He doesn't look like he looked during to me, like he looked during the regular season last year. So we'll see. I could absolutely see a future with what you were talking about, him and Taylor starting the next phase of their lives together. But I think he tries to. He'll probably see what happens this year, but I think barring injury, I really think he'll give it a couple of more years, 2 or 3 years. And if he does even what he did last year, I think he goes down as the greatest. And I don't think last year was even by far his best. I think he's got way more to offer than that. But
yeah,
it's all, we won't know till the season's over. We won't know until next season starts what happens. But God, I love Travis Kelce. I love being a Chiefs fan right now. It's
all I gotta say to Kelce is please, no hurdles. You're too old for the hurdles. Let's not get hurt.
And you don't even need to do the spins anymore, because that's really he's not getting out of a whole lot of tackles anymore. Just go down, just catch the ball, go down, get up for the next play. I know that he probably doesn't like to go down anymore because it's starting to hurt his knees to get back up. I know that pain.
Well, we're about at time here. Do you have anything else you wanted to hit on?
We usually do a player of the week, and the Chiefs this last week mourned the passing of former running back Abner Haynes, who was inducted into the Chiefs Hall of Fame, and in the league's first season in 1960, he earned the Rookie of the Year and the Player of the Year honors, and he got to play for the great Hank Stram. How cool was that?
That's cool. Just matriculated down the field.
Yeah. So Haynes, back in 1956, Haynes and teammate Leon King became the first black student athletes to play on an integrated college football team in Texas. Also,
cool.
So he was, innovative back in the day. So,
cool.
Much love and respect. Sorry to see the passing of Abner Haynes. So, but besides that, that's all I got.
I really like these spotlights, because when you first told me you were going to put it in, I thought it was something where
current Chiefs players,
and
there will be a lot of that,
or like recent ones, but these are the two we've done are two I've never even heard of, and it's kind of neat to get those. And I didn't know he was like. He's part of history. It's cool.
Yeah, and the last one was really tough for me. To read about saving the drowning kids that I've got. We both got kids. That's tough. Kind of choked me up a little bit, but and there's going to be a lot of current player of the week. It's probably going to be Patrick Mahomes a lot, but yeah, when something happens, when former players, when anniversaries come up, when Derek Thomas's anniversary of his death comes up, I promise you that's going to be our spotlight of that week. We want to remember the past. We want to remember what brought this team to greatness, and Abner Haynes was one of the originals. So much love.
Awesome.
Yep.
And I don't have my stuff here to say where you can find us, but you can find us all over the place: Spotify, iTunes, YouTube,
Facebook.
Can we put the episodes on Facebook?
I don't know, but we have a presence on Facebook.
Yeah,
you can see us.
There you can find us Instagram. And where can we find you specifically, Jason?
On Twitter, at Bucktastic. That's at BUK_TASTIK. And of course, Facebook. I love my Facebook.
And you can find me on Twitter at Blazin_Bob. That's BLAZZIN_BOB. We'll see you guys next week.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.